Come to me. Come to me.
Yo, 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 what's up? It's Marlo here, and this is Buttered Popcorn. I am here with another review. It's been a long time. I don't know, to be honest, I've just been busy, I've been lazy, I've been not wanting to do this, and finally feel like I've turned a corner and I want to get down and start reviewing. I mean, it's January 1st. I missed a ton of reviews, but I've seen a lot of movies. But anyways, today I'm glad to be back and I want to talk about my most anticipated film of last year, 2024, which is Nosferatu. This is obviously a remake of, I think, the 1922 version, and it's made by Robert Eggers, who is one of my favorite directors, who made The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, and I loved all of those films. I would say that I would rank them in the order I said it. So in his, chronological order, The Witch was a classic. Lighthouse was really great and weird and crazy. And I liked The Northman, but I wasn't a massive fan. So coming into this, I was very, very stoked because I love Eggers. The cast seemed amazing. And, I love vampires, and the story of Dracula and Nosferatu, which is basically the same thing, is one of my favorites. So I was excited to see what Eggers was going to put on this, what his twist was going to be. Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Willem Dafoe. I mean, it's just a star-studded cast. So I think Lily Rose Depp gave a really great performance, and I think the script ties into this one, but some of the characters just weren't written well, in my opinion. I know everybody's raving about Willem Dafoe. I love Willem Dafoe. I think he's one of the most underrated actors of our time ever, and I think he's one of the most amazing actors, but I don't know, his character was... I love weird, quirky characters, but there's a scene at the end of the film where I'm just like, yo, where did this come from? Like, he's supposed to be this eccentric occult scientist type dude, and very studied, but there's just something weird about how his character's written. I couldn't put my finger on it. Let's see, Lily Rose Depp, I think she did a great job, great performance. It was sad and heartbreaking and weird, creepy. I think overall she was probably the strongest character and the strongest actor in this film. So I'm excited for her and what comes in the future for her. I guarantee you she will be getting a lot of roles after this because she did such a great job. So I really liked her performance. And to be honest, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I'm not a huge fan of, even before this. And I honestly wish they had gotten someone else. He just didn't fit the role, I believe. And I don't know, he was not very memorable. Although I will say he was good. He was good in what he did, but maybe it was his character, the way it was written. I don't know, there was just not a lot there. But I think had they given it to someone else, and I don't know who they would give it to, but just someone more distinguished, maybe a little older, I think it would have been better. And coming down, obviously, to the big character, Nosferatu, Count Orlok, it's not that I don't like Bill Skarsgård, but there's a lot of things that I didn't like about Count Orlok and the vampire. And a lot of it was written and a lot of it was choices. I mean, this is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen it, the dude has this huge, fluffy ass mustache. And when I saw him first appear on screen, when they really revealed him, I literally couldn't stop thinking about Borat. And it just took me out of the film. And it was so, like, obviously you have something in your mind when you think of Count Orlok, when you think of Nosferatu, and I understand it. They were, in my mind, I haven't really read up about it, but I bet you they were going for Vlad the Impaler. So if you look Vlad the Impaler up, he has this huge mustache, and I feel like that's what they were going for. But it was so distracting for me that every time he was on screen, I just thought of Borat. And I thought of the lead singer from Queen, Freddie Mercury. That's literally what I kept thinking. And something like that is going to polarize people. And to me, it was just so distracting that it was hard to get over. Another thing about Bill Skarsgård's performance was his voice. It was hard to understand. I understand what they were going for. They're probably going for this Transylvanian or Romanian accent, but a lot of the times I was just like, what is he saying? And he was talking so slow. Another thing to me is that I feel like they revealed Count Orlok too quickly. The suspense of having this vampire, this ultimate evil, this villain was gone after the first, 20 minutes of introducing him. It really hampered the film for me. Just all of that. And I think that some of the characters, they go through some interesting transitions and developments, but it felt like they were really trying to make Orlok a character and someone that you maybe feel for a little bit or had some depth. But to me, it's not what this film needed, or it wasn't done quite as what Eggers wanted to happen. And I really think the film suffered for that. Like, I wanted him to be this horrifying, dark villain, and it didn't really come through, man. Like, I wanted to like this film I wanted to love this film so badly. And a lot of the things hampered down to the decision about the mustache, the voice, I guess Bill Skarsgård's performance, to be honest. The movies that are about a villain or about some dark force, the villain has to be one of the strongest points. I mean, even just look at Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I know there's some problems with that film, but I love Gary Oldman and he does such a great job with it. And it's scary and it freaks me out. And I think they developed his character really well in that film. So when you have a film that parallels so closely to each other, to something great that happened before, you just can't help but comparing them. So yeah, I mean, those things are hard to get by, but I would say out of 5 for acting and character, I'd probably give it a 3. And that's, to me, being kind of generous, to be honest. Let's move on to story. So the story and the script here, I believe that it started off on such a great note. The opening scene was creepy and freaky, and what's his name? Nicholas Holt's Thomas Hutter's kind of beginning was amazing. Going into the castle, meeting Count Orlok. And there's just some brilliant, beautiful scenes where he's just making it. I mean, even before that, just being in the city and seeing how dark and depressing it is, and his creepy boss, and a lot of just the beauty and the freakiness and the scariness of the time period. It built up so well, and I would say the first half hour of this film is brilliant. And spoilers, there's a part where he goes to this like Romanian town, this small village, and there's gypsies there, and it's so dark and creepy and weird, and I was anticipating the film to carry on like that, and to me it didn't. It fell off once. I mean, he meets Orlok, and then it's awesome, and it's very suspenseful and secretive and creepy, and then they reveal the monster too quickly, and we see his face too much, and there's a lot of non-movement. There's just a lot of weird choices. The script also touches, I believe, on, relationships of a husband and wife that, Ellen and Thomas are just getting married, and then Thomas has to go on this business trip to meet Count Orlok, who's in Transylvania, and he's buying property in England where Thomas lives, and he has to leave his wife who he just married. And she has this, I don't want to give too much away, but she has this dark past. And they're talking about, like, the past relationships that you've had, especially for women, and how toxic they could be, how they could ruin a relationship. And there was some really interesting things. I think there's some twists that I thought were interesting, but I didn't think necessarily worked. And the whole, after the first 30 minutes, I would say I kept waiting for it to get better. I kept hoping it was going to get better. And a lot of us know the story of Dracula, so it seems like if you're doing it, you kind of have to change it. And I almost felt like I wish it was, if they couldn't do it great in a twist, in a change type of way, I kind of wish it was just the same story or followed closer. So, I just felt like after the first 30 minutes, the story wasn't as engaging and wasn't as creepy, wasn't as scary as the first 30 minutes, wasn't as suspenseful. So I would rate out of 5, I would give it a 2. Let's move on to direction and cinematography. I love Robert Eggers. This film is beautiful. There's amazing wide shots. There's amazing camera movement, very creepy forest, dolly zooms and lighting. And it looks amazing. It's beautiful. I would just go to the theaters just for that. Despite everything else I've said, it was still a beautifully shot film. And that's what I keep hearing in all these reviews, is how beautiful it is, how amazing it looks. But to me, a great film is a combination of everything. So everything has to be firing at top notch. And this was kind of, sadly to me, the only thing that was really firing was the camera, direction, the sets, design, everything felt believable in that time frame. And the rats and just the hopelessness of that time frame, the Black Plague type era. So I loved that part of it, the direction. I think Eggers as a director made some decisions that I didn't like, and that's fine. And a lot of people will like it, and I'm not hating on him. I just didn't like it. My opinion is a lot of his decisions, especially with Count Orlok, were just not satisfying to me and distracting to me, and it took from the story. And I will say that this is a horror film. Nosferatu is a horror film, and I know there's drama mixed in and a love story and that type of thing, but if I am not scared in a horror film, it's a failure to me. And for the first 30 minutes, I was on the edge of my seat, and then after we reveal the monster, we see him too much. Man, I look back at Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, or Let the Right One In, and there's just sense of dread. And the way it unfolds, the pacing is so good. And you know, I don't know, there was just something off about it. I wasn't scared. After a certain point, like halfway through the film, I was not scared for the rest of it. And I love horror movies, and I was just so excited about finally a vampire film with a great cast and a great director, and I just wasn't scared. So I put a lot of that on the director. I still am excited about Robert Eggers, and I hope that he makes something better his next time out. So I will give the direction and the cinematography a 4 out of 5. I think it was the best part of the film. Yeah. Overall, I just was so entranced of the first 30 minutes, and the part of in the castle when Thomas goes to meet Orlok. And then once we see Orlok with his huge mustache and his slow, like I couldn't understand his voice. I just lost it. Like it was lost for me. The plot was lost. The feeling, the suspense, the terror was lost. And I really wanted this to be a lot better. And to me, it just wasn't. It was kind of mid. And I just expect a lot more from the cast and the writing and Robert Eggers. Overall, I would give this film a 2.5 out of 5. Maybe that's a little low, but, in my heart, I just expected so much more from everything, and it was my most anticipated film of the year. I would say in terms of horror, The Substance was miles better. The Substance was a classic. There's Oddity, which I really loved, I think is a lot better. A lot of other films this year, even Daddy's Head, I thought was really great and better than this film. And I was scared in all of those films. And after the first 30 minutes in this, I just wasn't. So unfortunately, yeah, it just wasn't that good for me. I expect a lot of great things out of Robert Eggers. And yeah, that's my review. Thank you for watching. It's nice to be back. Let me know what you thought of the film. Again, this is my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's totally okay. But let's talk about it. Anyways, thank you. Happy New Year. Let's get it for 2025. I'm going to be making a lot more video reviews, and I'm stoked for this year. Let's go. Thank you. Peace.